Hi everyone, welcome back to Concept Wise Learning Hub. In today's session, we are starting Unit 2 Forms of Business Organizations. It is one of the most important chapters in Plus 1 Business Studies. In this chapter, we will understand the different ways a business can be formed and managed. We will also learn the features, merits, and limitations of different forms of business organizations. So, let's begin. So, first is forms of business organization. Before starting a business, an entrepreneur has to decide how the business will be owned and managed. This structure is called the forms of business organizations. Different businesses have different needs. A small grocery shop does not require the same structure as a large company. So, businesses choose a form of organization based on factors like size, ownership, capital requirement, and nature of business. In this chapter, we will mainly study private sector organizations, especially sole proprietorship and partnership. So, let's begin. Let's first understand the meaning of a business organization. A business organization is a structure through which a business is formed, managed, and operated. Broadly, business organizations are divided into two categories. The first is private sector organization and second is public sector organization. First, private sector organization. These businesses are owned and controlled by private individuals or groups. Their main objective is to earn a profit and the capital raised privately and government involvement is very limited. The second is public sector organization. These organizations are owned and controlled by government, either fully or partially. Here, the primary objective is public welfare and providing essential services rather than earning a profit. So remember this simple difference. Private sector means profit motive and public sector means service motive. Now let's compare the public sector and private sector organization. In private sector, ownership belongs to individuals or private companies. The main objective is profit. The business is managed independently by the owners. Capital is raised through personal savings, loans or private investments. Government control is comparatively less. The next is public sector. In public sector organizations, ownership belongs to the government. The main objective is public service and social welfare. These organizations provide essential services like transportation, electricity, banking, and public infrastructures. They are also helps in generating employment and reduce economical inequality. Now let's look at the different forms of private sector organization. In this chapter, we will focus two important forms. The first is sole proprietorship and the second is partnership. So a sole proprietorship is a business that is owned, managed and controlled by one person. It is the oldest and simplest form of business organization. Legally, the owner and the business are considered the same. Example include a local grocery shop, a tailoring unit, or a street food stall. The second form is partnership. In a partnership, the business is owned and managed by two or more persons who agree to share profit and losses. In India, partnerships are governed by the Indian Partnership Act 1932. Examples include law firms, medical clinics, and trading businesses. So remember the simple comparison. One owner means sole proprietorship, and two or more owners means partnership. Now let's discuss the advantages or merits of sole proprietorship. The first one is ease of formation and closure. A sole proprietorship can start or close with very few legal formalities. For example, a person can start a home-based tiffin service with minimal paperwork. The second one is direct incentive. Since the owner receives the entire profit, there is a strong motivation to work hard and improve the business. The third advantage is full control and quick decision making. As there is only one owner, The decisions can be taken quickly without consulting anyone else. So the another one advantages is secrecy of information. Since only one manages the business, important business information remains confidential. The next one is close customer contacts. The owner directly interact with customers, understand their needs, and build strong relationship. The final one is flexibility in operation. The owner can easily introduce new products, change prices, or modify business strategies according to the market conditions. Next, we will discuss the limitations of sole proprietorship. The first limitations is limited resources. Since the business depends mainly on the owner's personal savings and borrowing capacity, raising large amount of capital becomes difficult. The second and the most important limitation is unlimited liability. This means the owner is personally responsible for all business debts. If the business cannot repay its debt, the owner's personal assets such as house or savings can also be used. The third limitation is limited managerial ability. One person cannot be expert in every areas like finance, marketing, production and human resource. The next limitation is uncertainty of life of businesses. Business depends completely on the owners. If the owners die, become seriously ill or retires, the business may come to an end. The final limitation is limited scope for expansion. Due to limited capital and limited management skill, the business usually remains small. Our next topic is partnership. A partnership is an agreement between two or more persons to carry on a lawful business and share its profit and losses. In India, Partnership Act are governed by the Indian Partnership Act 1932. The business may be managed by all partners together or by one or more partners on behalf of everyone. This introduces the most important concept in partnership called mutual agency. Mutual agency means that every partner acts both as an agent and a principal. An agent, a partner can act on behalf of the firm. As a principal, a partner is also bound by the action of other partners. For example, if one partner purchases goods on credit for the business, all the partners become responsible for that transaction. Our next topic is essential elements of partnership. For a valid partnership to exist, the five essential elements must be present. The first one is two or more persons. A partnership cannot exist with only one person. The second is agreement. The agreement may be oral or written, but a written agreement is called partnership deed. The third element is lawful business. The partnership should be formed only to carry on a legal business activity. The fourth element is sharing of profit and losses. Partners should agree on how profits and losses will be shared. If no ratio is mentioned, they are generally shared equally. The final and the important one is mutual agency. Every partners can represent the firm and bind the other partners through action taken in the ordinary course of business. Now let's discuss the key features of partnership. The first feature is an agreement between partners. This agreement clearly mentioned important details such as capital contribution, profit sharing ratio, duties, rights and responsibility. A written agreement is called the partnership deed. The second feature is unlimited liability. Just like in a sole proprietorship, if the firm's assets are not enough to repay debts, the partner's personal assets can also be used. The third feature is no separate legal entity. This means the partnership firm and the partners are considered the same in the eyes of the law. Unlike a company, the firm has no separate legal identity. The next is continuous continuity of business. The partnership may be affected if a partner dies, become insolvent or retires. However, the remaining partners can continue the business if the partnership agreement allows it. Another important feature is implied authority. Every partner has the authority to carry out routine business activities on behalf of the firm. These actions are binding on all partners. The final one is registration. No, registration of a partnership firm is not compulsory under the Indian Partnership Act, but it is highly recommended because an unregistered firm cannot enforce certain legal rights in the court. Let's understand partnership with a simple example. Imagine two friends A and B start a business called Sweet Crust Bakery. They first sign a partnership deed. A invested 6 lakh and B invested rupees 4 lakh. They agreed to share profit and losses in the ratio of 60 is to 40. Next, they divided their responsibility. B looks after production and the kitchen, while A manages sales and purchasing. Now, suppose B purchased flour on credit for the bakery. Even though only B placed the order, both A and B become responsible for paying the supplier. This is because of mutual agency. Now imagine the business suffers a loss and its assets are not enough to repay the debts. Since the partners have unlimited liability, they must use their personal assets if necessary to repay the remaining amount. This example helps us to understand three important concepts together: partnership deed, mutual agency, unlimited liability. Whenever you study partnership, relate these concepts to this example. It makes them much more easier to remember. Common misconception about partnership. Misconception 1. Anyone who shares profit is automatically a partner. This is not correct. Profit sharing alone does not create a partnership. The most important condition is mutual agency. Without mutual agency, there is no true partnership. Misconception 2. A partnership firm has a separate legal identity. Again, this is incorrect. Unlike a company, a partnership firm and its partners are not separate legal entities. Next is misconception 3. Registration of a partnership firm is compulsory. This is also incorrect. Registration is optional, but it is highly advisable because an unregistered firm faces legal limitations. Now let's understand how partnerships are classified. The Indian Partnership Act 1932 classifies partnership on two bases: classification by duration and classification by liability. Classification by duration is divided into two, that is partnership at will and particular partnership. And classification by liability is again divided into two, that is general partnership and limited partnership. Let's first look at the types of partnership based on duration. There are two types: partnership at will and particular partnership. First one, partnership at will. A partnership at will has no fixed time period. It continues as long as all the partners want to continue the business. Any partners can dissolve the partnership by giving a written notice to the other partners. For example, two friends start a stationery shop without deciding how long they will run it. This is called partnership at will. The second one is particular partnership. A particular partnership is formed for a specific project or a fixed period. Once the project is completed or the agreed period ends, the partnership automatically comes to an end. For example, three engineers form a partnership to construct a bridge. When the construction is completed, the partnership also ends. So remember this simple difference: partnership at will, no fixed duration, and particular partnership, specific project or fixed period. Now let's study the types of partnership based on liability. They are classified into two: general partnership and unlimited partnership. First one, general partnership. In a general partnership, all partners have unlimited liability. If the firm assets are not enough to pay its debt, The personal assets of all partners can also be used. All partners actively participate in managing the business. This is the most common type of partnership in India. The next one is limited partnership. In limited partnership, at least one partner has unlimited liability, while the other partners have limited liability to the amount of capital they have invested. The limited partners generally do not participate in the day to day management of the business. A simple example is an investor who contributes money but does not manage the business. So always remember, general partnership means all partners have unlimited liability, and limited partnership have some partners have limited liabilities. Let's quickly revise the types of partnership. Partnership based on duration, partnership at will. No fixed time, dissolves at any partners with written notice at any time. For example, two friends run a garment shop without fixing a duration. The next based on duration is particular partnership. Formed for a specific project or period, ends automatically on completion. Partnership formed to organize a wedding event. Based on liability, general partnership and limited partnership. First one is general partnership. All partners have unlimited liability. Personal assets are at risk. For example, three partners run a printing press together. All has the liability to pay any debts. The next is liability. Based on liability, partnership based on liability is again classified into limited partnership. At limited partnership, at least one partners have unlimited liabilities, other partners limited to capital invested. For example, LLP with one managing partners and investors partners. Now let's quickly revise the entire chapter. First, remember there is two sector in a business organization, private sector and public sector. Private sectors are owned by private individuals with the objectives of earning profit, and public sectors are owned by the government with the objectives of public welfare. The private sector is again classified into two, that is sole proprietorship and partnership. Sole proprietorship is owned by one owner and partnership is owned by two or more persons. And there should say five elements in a partnership, that is there should be two or more person, and there should be an agreement, it should be a lawful business, and there should be a profit sharing, and the important point is there should be a mutual agency. The next is the types of partnership. The type partnerships is classified into two, based on duration and based on liability. Based on duration, it is again classified into partnership at will and particular partnership. And based on liability, it is again classified into general partnership and limited partnership. I hope this session helped you to understand the concepts clearly and in an exam oriented manner. If you found this lecture useful, please like, share, and subscribe to Concept Wise Learning Hub, clear concept for smarter study. If you have any doubt, please comment below. And thank you for watching. See you in next class.